Welcome to the NES Touch webcast. This webcast will cover the following areas of how to use NES Touch: downloading it from the App Store or Google Play, looking at your job list and job details, creating a new appointment, navigating around your survey, taking evidence, and then address matching and lodging and submitting to NES1. This webcast uses the iOS version of NES Touch. You can download it from the App Store by searching for NES Touch. You can open it in the normal way. Log into NES Touch using your NES1 username and password. This means you don't have to remember additional usernames or passwords. Once you have logged in, you'll be presented with the job screen. This gives a list of all the current and previous jobs that you may have done. You can scroll up and down to see previous appointments, and you can book new appointments into the future, which will appear at the top of the list. To find specific properties, you can use the search field. This allows you to type in anything from the first line of the address, NES, where we're based, or different postcodes, such as properties in Bletchley. This makes it incredibly powerful for actually finding the job that you want to get access to. You'll also see that on the right hand side, there's the image of the property in question. This should also help you to identify the properties that you're currently working on or need to lodge through. So, let's start by creating a brand new appointment. To do this, you use the plus add new appointment in the top middle of the screen. This will then allow you to fill in the particular details of the property, such as the date of the appointment, the default being today, the time of the appointment, the default being the nearest 15 minutes to now, and then you need to enter some address details. We would suggest just putting in the first line of the address as a placeholder, which you can edit and add later, which we'll cover. So I'll do this building here, which is NES. For the SAT result to actually work, you need at least the first half of the postcode. So in this case, it's MK5. But if you do know the full postcode, it's always best to enter it. The next option is the country. This isn't strictly true, it's more which central register do you want to lodge the report to in the future. So it's either England and Wales, Scotland or Northern Ireland. In this case, we'll pick the England and Wales register because it's an address here in England. The next option is account. So this is which account the survey will be going through. So the option here is my personal account, but if you have any corporate accounts on NES1, they will appear here, which you can then select. Some third parties and some assessors like to add in a personal reference or require a reference number to be able to track the jobs on NES1 at a later stage. You can enter that text here, but it is completely optional. Once you've finished setting up the job, press Done. This will then take you to the appointment screen itself. From here, you can see the address and you can even make edits to the full address. There's details about the appointment, which you can edit and add to, and you can add notes. On the far right is the survey button, which will actually start your EPC survey. What we'll do, I'll just demonstrate now, is how to edit the address, because at the moment it's not the most clear because we've only got line 1 and the postcode. So if I press on edit, and then I can tap on that, it will come up, and then I can enter the street name, for example, and the town, Milton, Keynes. Done. And that's updated on there. To finish editing, I can then press Done. At this stage, I could address match the appointment and pick an address from the central register by using the magnifying glass on the left hand side. However, I'll cover that later on when we come to do the lodgement itself. The appointment details, such as the date and time, can be changed by using the edit in the same process as we carried out on the address. Additionally, you can add contacts too. So if, for example, you want to record the name of the person who's living at the property, or someone who's commissioned you, you can add a contact, and then you can enter information such as their name and telephone or other contact details. This may be incredibly useful if you've been sent a job by a particular organisation and you need to phone ahead to confirm the appointment time and date is correct. Finally, the notes screen. This can be very useful to leave little messages about the property itself. The one I always use as an example is beware of the dog. So if I've been told by the homeowner when I'm making the appointment, by the way, I have a big dog, it may be in the front garden, be careful of it, I can add a note to the system there to make sure it's captured, and it will remind me when I come to do the survey later. So let's go into the actual EPC itself. To do that, you press the button on the right hand side. We've split the survey into a section of categories. Each category has a tile on this main screen, which allows you to then bring the survey together. So I'll start at the top in the general screen, because that's the first one in the list. You'll notice that the icons from each of the categories, from the tiles on the categories, and now the icons are down the left hand side. So you can quickly switch between categories without having to go back to that main tile screen. To get to the questions and answers, you tap on the left hand side where your question is. So in this case, under general, it's property type, and then another panel will pop out with a selection of potential answers for that question. So in this case, the property type is either house, flat, something like that. Let's do a simple bungalow. Once I've answered that question, it's automatically moved me on to the next question. In this case, it's with regards to the detachment of the property. The next question is detachment. So there's a different selection of answers to pick from. And you'll also notice that there's a little camera icon next to the question. This means that there's a prompt here to take a photo to help describe the answer that you're providing. This detachment question also, as it's the first one that is usually come to in the report, will act as the main image that we saw on the right hand side of the actual appointment. So if I answer this is a semi-detached bungalow. You'll see that from the right hand side the evidence bar has popped out. I can select a caption from the list below, so front elevation for example, and then to take the photo I can press the big camera icon in a circle. So once we've taken our photo, we can then press OK, and that photo we save as evidence. You'll notice that now the camera icon, which was grey, has turned to a Polaroid in blue, which means that we've answered that question and have applied some relevant evidence to it. This is a different type of question, so it's asking how many habitable rooms, and in this case it's given us a little number pad to enter the numbers swiftly. So in this case we'll say it's 3 habitable rooms and the number of unheated habitable rooms is 0. On the next question you'll notice that the camera icon is not on the actual question itself but against the answer. That's because if you answer the question as no, there's not necessarily an evidence requirement. However, if you say that mains gas is available, there will be a prompt to capture the evidence of where the mains gas is available from, such as the gas meter. In this case, I'll answer no, and it will move me on without asking for any information. For the meter type, you'll notice that all but one of the answers is requiring evidence. However, if the meter is unknown, i.e. for no access, the evidence prompt there is just asking for a note. So the minimum that you need to do is just hit on the no access to meter to declare that you don't have access to the meter, or any other reason why you can't find the meter in the property. Now I've answered all the questions in that section, it's moved on to the construction section, which is the brick icon, second one down, and it's turned to the house icon blue to show that I've answered all questions within that section. The construction section is laid out in a similar way for questions and answers. However, for example, because the construction is slightly more complicated and you can have extensions and the main building part, if I click into the main building part area, you'll see that there's a little arrow next to it. That means that the next panel, rather than displaying responses to the question, is actually asking you a set of new questions. So if I tap on the age bound one there, you'll see the construction panel closed down and the main building kind of took over as the question part, and the age part has now become the age of part has become the responses on the right hand side still. So there's still always two panels, questions and response. You'll also notice that we have another tier of data entry for things like the roof and the wall and the floor. So for example, if I go to the roof section and then click on the construction there, you'll see that the main building part has collapsed down. We're now on the roof question set and the answer's on the right still. We can return to the different areas down the hierarchy by tapping on the name, the bar on the right. So if I want to return to construction, I can just tap on that and it will automatically take me to that highest level. The other area which has got a slightly different data entry method is on the dimensions screen. We realised that you might not have a preconception of how many extensions you might need or whether or not something's a roof room until you start actually measuring up the property. So it's actually possible from here to add stories to the property or take them away and change it to a roof room if needed, or add an extension as required to make things easier. This will affect the items available in the construction screen, for example. So now we have two building parts because we've set two building parts there. So wherever you answer the question, they interact with each other. We answer the questions by tapping in and we get our familiar keypad where we can type in things like the perimeter, the area, and the height, and the party wall. You'll notice it's automatically moved on to the next section, which in this case is the roof room area. And then it's filling in the blanks for us, moving us around automatically. What I'll do now is I'll fill in all the missing data items. On the main heating screen, you can access the product database. If you have a boiler, for example, you can type in here, Baxi, Bermuda, which is the back boiler that I have in my house. I think it's that one there. And then set the controls and those items, and it's filled in everything there. We can see from the tile page now that all the data entry items are blue, and there's a summary given for each section. For example, we can see it's a 76 to 82 age band, it's about a 65 meter property, and it's got a mains gas system. We can now go to the results. So these are the results for the property, 65, and it shows both the SAP rating and the environmental impact rating. We hit next, we'll go on to the second page, which is the recommendations. And just as per any other recommendations, you can add and remove them. For example, we can remove the photovoltaics one by pressing the little minus. It'll then say, why do you want to deselect it? Roof unstable. And then we can click done. And we'll note that it's now removed that recommendation for the particular reason. Or I can just press the plus to add it back in. The third page is the performance related features. This is the little star graph that's on the EPC itself. This is used by the auditing team as one of the things that they need to check. So if any one of these descriptions does not describe the property adequately, then it's potentially a failure under the quality assurance. So we decided to put this into NES Touch so that you could see for yourself while you're on site and double check that all the descriptions are correct. For example, if you never saw a TRV and you just have a look at the description, it says programmer of TRVs, you'll know to maybe double check the data that you've entered. Once you've double checked everything, you can go to the final page, which is to actually submit the report. So we can either submit as another type of report or an EPC. If we say it's an other, we'll send it to NES1, upload all the photos, but we won't actually lodge it to the central register. In this case, we do want to lodge it to the central register, so we'll say it's an EPC. The next part is the address lookup. I mentioned that earlier on. And so there's another option to do it here. We can do it from either location. You press the search button, and this will, if you've got internet access, it will be able to actually search online for this to the central register. If you're not connected to the internet at that particular time, you'll have to wait and do this when you get back to the office. So there's the address. I've had to make a little edit to the address line 1 to make sure it's picking up the correct address in the correct area. I can tap that. It's now filled in all the specific details in full, so it's added in things like the Knoll Hill and its National Energy Services rather than NES, and then I can confirm that address. And then it's added the little lock symbol next to the address to say that it's matched. Then there's all the EPC related questions. Once we're ready to actually lodge, we can everything will be complete and everything will be in blue on the left hand side, apart from this lodgement category, and we can use the button on the bottom to lodge to central register. You'll notice that there's a warning saying evidence is missing, check that there are relevant items. That's because in completing the survey for this example, I've not gone through and taken all of the photos as I've been going along. If I want to go back and double check where I've missed something, there are two buttons at the top which I can use. The one on the right is missing data, which I can pull down. Because everything is completed, it's blank, but the missing evidence one gives me pointers of where the next section of missing evidence could be, or where I might need to go to just fill in everything. So for example, it's saying on here, because we've got mains gas available, the mains gas question hasn't had evidence fulfilled yet. If I tap on that, it will take me to that section in the report, and I can pop out the window and take a relevant photo and fulfill that evidence requirement. And you don't have to fill out the evidence if you've collected the photos using a different camera or your camera phone or some other kind of way of capturing the evidence that's required. And you're just using this for the data entry, that's absolutely fine, and you can still lodge to the central register. You just have to long press the lodge button. As I've taken one photo in this, we will be able to lodge this to the central register, and you'll see that the evidence upload has started as well. So while we're lodging everything to the central register, we've already started to upload the evidence in the background, preparing the pictures that we need to send. You'll notice that the photo stream at the bottom has a little 1 next to it. So if I tap the photo stream, this gives you a selection of all the photos that have been taken in the report. If you're the kind of person who likes to go around and take photos as a kind of first sweep and then do the data entry, rather than taking the photos as per the evidence panels when they pop out, you can do that, and you can just add the new photos by clicking the photo icon on the left here and just taking photos as and when you come to them. That will add them to the photo screen. If you tap the photo, you then get a number of questions, such as assigned to a question. So if you're on a question which is asked for an evidence prompt, you can actually assign that question to it if you need to. All the photos that you would take in the photo stream or throughout the survey will appear on the audit report, and we'll take a look at that in a second. To view the audit report of the EPC that you've just lodged, log into NES1 using your normal credentials, and then find the report. So this was the one that we've just lodged, and then you'll see this little icon called NES Touch Audit Report. So we'll just load this up, and here you'll see an overview of all the data entry that we've made, and you can even see the pictures that we've taken. So in this example, I've only taken the one photo, but that appears there, and our auditing team can even enlarge it on screen so that they can see how the detail that you may have taken that might not be clear from the thumbnail view. Any further photos that you may have taken will appear in this evidence summary at the bottom. This is used by the auditors to do the as part of your evidence, so there's no need to collect any further site notes apart from to draw a floor plan, and the best way is to take a photo of that from the dimensions screen. Thank you for watching this webcast. I hope it was useful to you. If you do have any questions, please contact our support team, who will be happy to help.